Celtic fell to a very disappointing defeat yesterday as we lost 1-0 to St Johnstone. In today's video, we will of course go over the fallout from that game, whilst going over all the latest Celtic news from the last 24 hours, which includes what Kris Boyd has said about a certain player. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Brendan Rodgers explained why he decided to start Austin Trusty over Mike Nawrocki in the 1-0 defeat at St Johnstone, despite Nawrocki impressing in his 2 starts during Trusty's absence from the starting 11th. With a number of people expecting Nawrocki to be given an extended run in the team, that didn't materialise, with Trusty an unused substitute in the 3-0 win over Hearts the week prior. He was brought back in for a tough trip to Perth, a decision that Rodgers may not be looking back on with regret. However, ahead of the game, he spoke strongly in Trusty's favour. Rodgers said, "I think over a period of time, Austin Trusty has done well. He obviously wasn't fit enough to play in the second game against Hearts. I think it's a big credit to Mike Nawrocki because he hadn't played in a long time leading into the Rangers game, so it shows you his professionalism that he came into that game, and against Hearts, he didn't put a foot wrong. But I prefer to have a left-sided player on that side of the pitch." It's a reasoning that many had believed was behind Rodgers' decision not to play Nawrocki. However, given the result yesterday, it didn't benefit Celtic in any way. With Trusty conceding a goal just 4 minutes into the game, it showed that the US defender does not immediately take Celtic up a gear. Instead, there are questions over whether he is a major upgrade on Nawrocki, who, as Rodgers highlighted, has impressed any time he's played. Trusty has had some impressive performances like his standout display against Atalanta in Bergamo. However, for every Atalanta there is a Dundee at Dens Park. Trusty has failed to match the high standards he has set for himself, with Neil Lennon questioning his long-term future at the club after the defeat. Given being dropped again yesterday, it appears that Nawrocki may be set to leave in the summer. Simply put, he is too good to be sitting on the bench week in, week out, and at 24, he will have greater ambitions to play consistently. With Rodgers sending the message that he won't start every week, it may speed up a potential exit. Now for the main story, as it's fair to say that Nicholas Kuhn has become something of a talking point among Celtic fans in recent months, and not for the right reasons. Once a breath of fresh air down the wing, the German winger has seen his form take a worrying dip since the turn of the year, and now even Kris Boyd has weighed in with a cheeky remark. Boyd said, "Maybe somebody should check on Nicholas Kuhn. It looks as if his wisdom teeth have grown back in." The joke is a reference to Kuhn's dental issues last year, when he had his wisdom teeth removed shortly after arriving at Celtic. At the time, it was reported that the procedure affected his weight and overall fitness, leading to a noticeable slump in his performances. Thankfully, Kuhn managed to recover well, and in the first half of this season, he looked sensational. Whether it was his electric pace, his clever link-up play, or his confidence to take on defenders, Kuhn quickly silenced early doubters and appeared to be fulfilling the potential that's seen him once dazzle against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. But since the new year, it's been a different story. His touch has deserted him, his confidence looks drained, and the flair that had Celtic fans off their seats in autumn has all but vanished. There's no suggestion that dental problems have returned, of course, but Boyd's joke, as tongue-in-cheek as it was, shows a growing frustration among supporters who can't quite figure out what's gone wrong. To be fair to Kuhn, dips in form aren't uncommon in a player's first full season at a club the size of Celtic, especially in a position that demands so much physically and mentally. Brendan Rodgers has opted not to single him out in public, but the onus is now on Kuhn to rediscover the spark that made him one of the first names on the team sheet earlier in the season. In other news, former Celtic midfielder turned pundit Scott Allen has explained why one Hoops star will be the focus of Brendan Rodgers' post-match criticism. Rodgers called out the comfort mentality in the Celtic team, but refused to name the players he believes have shown it. With Celtic losing 1-0 against St Johnstone at McDiarmid Park, it means they have already lost 4 league games this year, having lost just 1 league game in the whole of 2024. Allen said, "I think Rodgers done it for the benefit of the group in terms of the games coming up and going into next season. I think he is trying to put the scaries on them a little bit. But in terms of individuals, I think Nicholas Kuhn could be in for a bit of criticism from Brendan Rodgers. I think he is wanting more from him." Opposition players are starting to work him out a little bit, and he hasn't had the same effect in the side. He was on fire at the start of the season, but he's come off the boil. But I think in general, he wants the standards from the whole team to be better. Rodgers also hinted at a major rebuild post-match, and Allen believes this is more about putting the scaries up the players rather than actually ripping up the whole squad. However, the strong manner in which the Irishman spoke suggests this may actually materialise. Standards have slipped in recent months, and that's more to do with an arrogance from some in the team who believe they can simply turn up and win, something Rodgers won't accept, as it's clear he's as frustrated as we've ever seen him. Time will tell if Nicholas Kuhn and a number of out-of-form Celtic stars will be around for the long haul. However, if the last 4 months are anything to go by, Rodgers now knows exactly which players he can trust when things don't go to plan. In other news, Neil Lennon has never been one to shy away from calling things as he sees them, and his latest comments about Austin Trusty's recent performances will certainly spark debate among the Celtic support. The former Hoops boss has raised concerns over Trusty's long-term future at the club, questioning whether the American defender is truly cut out to be a regular starter in Brendan Rodgers' side. Trusty came back into the starting 11 for Celtic's 1-0 defeat to St Johnstone this afternoon, replacing Mike Nawrocki, a decision that has raised eyebrows given Nawrocki's solid displays in recent games. The Polish defender looked assured against both Rangers and Hearts, doing little to suggest he should be dropped. But Rodgers opted to start Trusty, and it didn't pay off, with the defence looking shaky throughout a frustrating afternoon in Perth. Lennon reflected on Trusty's mixed form since the Premier Sports Cup final in December. While the former Arsenal man has put in some impressive performances, particularly in Europe, Lennon believes his domestic performances haven't been convincing enough to cement a regular starting spot. Lennon said, "Trusty has done really well in Europe, but domestically there are some games where you are questioning him as well. I know Brendan Rodgers has spoken about having that left footer on the left-hand side, but there were so many." Lennon's point about Rodgers' preference for a natural left footer is a valid one. Trusty does bring balance in that way, but it can't come at the cost of defensive stability. Having paid a reported £6 million in the summer, Trusty has yet to reach the heights he showed in the Champions League consistently, and Rodgers may look to address this in the summer, having hinted at a serious rebuild. For Trusty, he will need to find his form soon, with Liam Scales in contention to start against Kilmarnock. Trusty will have both Scales and Nawrocki putting pressure on him for a starting spot alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.